Well, hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Wild Your Garden. And in this video I want you to stick around because we are going to be taking a look at my front wildlife garden in early May. So without further ado, let's have a look at some of the habitats and exactly what's coming up, what's flowering and what I've got within my little mini 20 square meters of my front wildlife garden. So before we crack on guys, I should just say that I have been posting previously about my front wildlife garden on the YouTube channel already. So if you haven't seen already, go to the home page, go on playlist, go on my garden and you'll see some videos of this front garden and my back garden that I've done in previous videos. So stay tuned, more to come on this garden and the full creational video of it now that it's almost finished. And we'll find out in a minute what's left to do in this front garden before I can finally tick it off my checklist of completing my front wildlife garden. So let's go and have a look at some of the features. So first off, I'm going to come outside the garden for a moment and you can see along this front here we have a nice mix of native trees and shrubs which then returns in an L shape down that side of the garden where I put a new fence in, and we've got things such as the silver birch which is now rocketing away, a brilliant tree for a wildlife garden and one that isn't going to be a problem because I've put it enough of a distance from the fence and the wall to cause any problems in the future. It's far enough from the house that the roots won't reach, so a really nice addition. And also down that side you can just see up there I have a lovely rowan tree which is absolutely blooming away now. Hopefully that'll be well, leafing away very nicely. Hopefully that'll be flowering soon. My older buckthorns. Now here's a nice little story for you. I planted 3 of those in the front to try and attract the brimstone butterfly. Well, recently it did just that because I saw a female laying, and I did a count afterwards, no less than 56 eggs. I need to do an updated count on these 3 shrubs, but 56 eggs on 3 shrubs just goes to show you the desperate need these butterflies have, and other insects of course, for these habitats. So, and that's within 6 weeks of them being planted. They are all now laden with eggs, so really chuffed to that. Obviously I'll keep you guys updated as to how the caterpillars develop, and hopefully that will ensure a nice batch of new brimstones next year, or this year later on when they emerge and then go into hibernation before they come out properly again next spring. So more on the life cycle of these butterflies in another video to come. But the hedgerow really doing very well. So let's go back in the garden now and have a look underneath the hedge. So with having this hedgerow along this new fence, which I should say guys, I put a little hedgehog hole in the corner and we've got a little hedgehog box down there as well, which no doubt you will have seen on the previous video. But this hedge is a really good opportunity to plant underneath it some shade loving native wildflowers. So I've stuck things in here, things like cowslip, primrose. We've got some honesty which is blooming away back there, which is now starting to develop some lovely seed pods. Absolutely gorgeous to see that. So yes, if you haven't seen already, check out some of my previous videos. I'll put a link to at the end of this on my 6 favorite native and non-native, the honesty not technically native but it's one of them, plants for a shady spot in your garden. And I've also done another video recently on the back garden where I have created a mini 6 square meter woodland border, so check those 2 videos out at the end of this one guys. But yes, got loads of plants flowering in this border, got some greater stitchwort in there and lots of other little gems that will be coming up next year. Lots of bulbs that I've planted, things such as bluebells, wild garlic, wood anemones, so really looking forward to those. And the star of the show at the moment, just down here, you can just see, I'll put a clip in, I've replaced one of my original brooms with another broom that is a slight derivative from the native but equally as good for the pollinators. It's this gorgeous kind of peachy orangey red colour, absolutely just beautiful, and the flowers obviously very similar to the flowers of the bird's foot trefoil, which we'll come on to in a moment. But yes, really pleased. I've just planted that in there because my original broom, which I cut back to then look to plant back in here, it hasn't shown any signs of life, although the stems are still green. So I'm not sure, it might come back in the spring, so I've left it in there for now. But in case it doesn't, I've planted another broom in its case, which is looking beautiful at the moment. So yes, this woodland border is an absolute treasure trove of little beauties, which I will be very much looking forward to seeing develop next year. I've got a couple more plants I want to add to that in time, but yes, it is a really nice spot for some pollinator friendly plants that would do well in shade. So let's move on to the second habitat now, which is my little mini wildflower meadow. Now this is one of 4 segments within the main structure of this front wildlife garden, and it was designed as a bit of a reference to formality, because what I'm trying to do with this front garden, and if you don't believe me, there's the road, is to encourage the more traditional gardeners to show people that a wildlife garden doesn't have to be messy. It's not, you know, we don't have to conform to the stereotype of them being an untidy, unruly space that's only good for wildlife and humans can't enjoy it. Scrap that idea. A wildlife garden can absolutely have some formality to it, and I just want to showcase this garden in terms of just achieving, well, just that really, because I think it's nice to have these paths which I've designed along with Nikki, I can't take all the credit for it, to show that there is access, there is formality, and it is somewhere that can be enjoyed by people as well as the wildlife. So that was the main idea with the concept and the design, and I think it's working quite nicely. So my little mini wildflower meadow is absolutely filled in since the last tour I did in April. The grass is now, the red fescues that I sowed for the marble white butterflies are coming through nicely, as are a lot of the wildflowers. The oxeye daisies are just thinking about starting to flower. My bird's foot trefoil, which is down here, absolutely chuffed to bits. That's just started flowering on the front, which I'm hoping, fingers crossed, within the next few weeks will attract the odd common blue butterfly. So I'll keep my eyes on that one and keep you guys updated. But there's a whole host of wildflowers on here. We've got some natural speedwells that are colonising. I didn't sow those, they're growing nicely. We've got one of the claries, I can't remember whether it's meadow clary or clary sage, that is about to start flowering in the middle of the meadow. We've got wild carrot, there's marjoram on this edge. So yes, this patch is only going to get better with time. It's 1.8 by 1.5 square meters, so it's 2.7 meters square, or square meters, not even 3 meters, so, or 3 square meters. So if I can have this area, guys, so can you. And my main message, again with a lot of the other videos that I've been doing recently, is adopt a no-mow summer. Please, I implore. Please guys, put away your mowers and just let the grasses grow. You'll be amazed at how many wildflowers are no doubt within your garden or within your meadow, well, hopefully meadow, within your lawn, that have just never had the chance to grow. They've just been mown time after time after time. So yes, give it a go. Obviously we've got the hashtag #NoMowMay over here at the moment, but my concern with that is that and it's an initiative that was started a few years ago by Plant Life, and I think it's great in trying to convert more traditional gardeners into having a more wildflower rich area within their garden and helping the pollinating insects, which is great. But my concern is that when we are at the end of May and when we go into the 1st of June, everyone's going to rush to their shed, grab the mower, mow all these areas down, and therefore all the insects that have then made that area their home are going to be wiped out. So I wouldn't say it's almost not worth doing, but I think, you know, these insects are better off going to somewhere where they know they've got the habitat for a sustained period, for a long part of the year, so they can carry out their life cycle. These insects, their life cycle goes through the course of a year. It doesn't just happen overnight and they're there 1 minute and gone the next. They are a larvae before they are the ultimate adults. They go from an egg to a larvae to an adult, no matter what they are, whether that's hoverflies, butterflies, moths. There are many insects, of course, that will be living out their life cycle before they've reached their final life stage, if you like. So whether that's a dragonfly, I know they're in ponds, they're not in a meadow as such, but they'll still be hunting over areas like this. So no-mow summer, that's what you guys need to be going for. Check out previous videos that I've done on this subject, and of course how you can manage these areas. But I can't wait to bring you this meadow in another couple of weeks' time. So stick around, I will be doing another update on this garden in the next 2 or 3 weeks as well, because this time of year, May into June, everything moves so fast, which you'll no doubt be witnessing yourselves. Here we are today, it's about 20 degrees, bright sunshine, so yes, everything grows very quickly. So yeah, that's the wildflower meadow. Let's now have a look at one of the other habitats. So the next habitat, as I get distracted by a hairy-footed flower bee whizzing past me, is the mini wildlife pond. Now you might think, well, that doesn't look like one of your wildlife ponds, Joel, and no, it actually doesn't, not yet. But this is a slightly more formal affair, so I've actually got rocks and everything on this side so things can get in and out very easily. There's no risk of any hedgehogs going in and staying in there. Sadly, swimming pools can be an absolute nightmare for wildlife, especially hedgehogs, frogs, newts, toads as well. If they get stuck, they can actually drown because they become exhausted and obviously drown. So yes, if you've got anything like this, or like a barrel pond, and I should say, guys, I will have another video coming for you very soon. I'm going to be planting up another barrel pond in my back garden, sorry. So yes, full video on a barrel pond coming up and all the plants you can put in it. So can't wait to bring you that one. And they should hopefully be available on the Wild Your Garden online shop very soon. So yes, stay tuned for that one. We'll be providing all the plants and barrel and everything you need, baskets, to create a little mini wildlife barrel pond, because they are just a fantastic resource. Anyway, back to this wildlife pond. Now, you may notice as well, maybe even me, I couldn't help but use this fabulous dead piece of elder that was in the garden, in the front garden, and use it as a dragonfly perch. So really looking forward to seeing what turns up and perches on that. I'm hopeful for a kingfisher. I think I might be pushing it there. But who knows? Yeah, I can't wait to see what turns up on that perch. And then either side, I have got, you can't see at the moment, some shelves, which by the time you see the next video of this front garden, I will have planted up all the baskets that are going on these shelves to create more habitat for wildlife. So all the wildflowers, all the marginals, the lilies, everything else. So that in itself is going to come into its own very, very soon. I've got my hornwort in there, the oxygenator, which I put in there recently. There's a little bit of duckweed, but I don't mind that because it's actually food for some of the snails and everything else. So I don't mind having a little bit of that in a pond. But another full video on the pond being planted to come, guys. So yes, hopefully by the next time you tune in, that will be looking a lot different. So that's the second of the 4 quadrants within this area. But now let's go and take a look at that little beaut. So now we move on to the insect hotel, which is a rather deluxe version. By no means do you have to have anything of this scale, guys. This is just something I wanted to experiment with and create, and again, a nice formal feature that is kind of seen down the vista, if you like, if you can call it that, through the hedge when people are walking past, to look down across the meadow, down through the wildlife pond and up to this as a formal centerpiece, which I think is, yeah, it kind of finishes the garden off. And not only that, it's absolutely teeming with life at the moment, which you can't see right now, but I promise you, I am so chuffed to announce that I've already had many red mason bees making this their home. In particular, the females have been coming in, laying their eggs inside, going into the back garden, and I've filmed this previously. Luckily, I was out the back garden the other day and I caught one of the female hairy-footed flower bees, not the red mason bee, but a female hairy-footed flower bee, collecting pollen from one of the cowslips and bringing it then to the front garden, of which she's now made use one of these nest chambers to lay her eggs, stuff it with pollen, lay an egg, stuff it with pollen, and they do this several times before they then get to the front of the hole and seal the hole up with some mud. Absolutely brilliant. And I watched a red mason bee doing just that the other evening, some gorgeous light, and I managed to just be out here at the right time and watch the female sealing the entrance up. So really, really chuffed that they're already using this, and then they will develop into a pupa later on in the autumn before emerging next year as next year's brood. So I'm absolutely thrilled. I mean, if I don't get any more visitors, I've ticked a box in terms of what I wanted to achieve with this insect hotel. Absolutely fantastic to see them using that. And across the top, of course, I created this planter, which I am going to be watching very carefully, because there's some lovely plants in there which are attracting lots of pollinating insects, designed to be low growing so they don't go up above the view out of the front window. And obviously underneath I've put some logs and some clay pipes as some refuge for some of the newts and frogs and toads, hopefully when they turn up, as a bit of refuge for them in the autumn and winter months. And underneath, if that wasn't enough, I've then done a planting of some low growing herbaceous perennials, variety of all sorts of wildflowers, but I've got like a mini campanula down there, I've got some bird's foot trefoil, I've got some red clover, I've got loads of stuff in there, marjoram, which is down here, which will be coming up soon. So again, lots more to come. Thought that was one of the red mason bees, but a really, really nice little area. And I just added this little, just to finish it off, a little sculpture that we found online by an artist who's very, very well, we just fell in love with this little sculpture of these swallows, so couldn't help but want to put that in the garden as well. So yes, the insect hotel absolutely teeming with life, and hopefully it will encourage many others to have a go at making one of these, albeit hopefully not to that scale. You don't have to have that, as I say, but maybe a lot of people that will walk by will have a go at making one of these in their own garden. And next, just to the side of the insect hotel, along with one of these beautiful sonnettes, which is just absolutely loved by the bees at the moment. This vibrant deep pink colour, it's gorgeous. But at the side of this insect hotel, I have planted a rambling Rector rose from my good friend Angela, who very kindly donated that to me last autumn. I've got a wisteria, I think that's autumn falls, I can't remember. Amethyst Falls might be. Anyway, it's a wisteria, so hopefully that will train to go up and over the front porch, along with the rambling Rector and a honeysuckle as well. So in time, I hope this is even more habitat, the front porch, for birds in particular, for nesting, and maybe as a hideout for the odd butterfly through the winter months, and in general just more cover, more habitat for the birds, and of course nectar and pollen for all the other insects as well. So next we have these two Herbaceous Borders, which are absolutely rammed with mostly non-native herbaceous perennials, but they're all perennials that are designed to be beneficial for our pollinating insects. And again, I just want to highlight to all the traditional gardeners out there that you can still have a wildlife garden that has formality. It can still be beneficial for wildlife. So yes, I think it's doing a grand job at the moment, but it's nowhere near at its peak yet. Obviously, I've got this row of lavenders along the front, which are just about starting to flower, which is absolutely brilliant to see. I've got an agapanthus there, which hopefully, because we're in the south of the UK, might, and this is a south facing garden, might survive the winter. I am hopeful. But I've also got some scabious in there, which is a perennial as well. It's not the native field scabious, although it looks very similar, no doubt a derivative of that native, but very good for the bees early on. Our field scabious here don't usually come out until sort of early July time, so even into the middle of July, so it's great to have that as a nectar source for them early on. And these sonnettes are just the stars of the show at the moment. They are absolutely beautiful. I picked those up recently. I picked 3 of them up, one there, got one over near the insect hotel, you can see just behind the rose, and I've got another one in this border as well, which is the most deep purple you've ever seen of any plant. I think they're just absolutely incredible. So I've got one there, one in here, and like I say, one over there near the insect hotel, so they're looking great at the moment. I've also got the roses, which in particular that one, I mean, that's put on a couple of feet of growth already this year from being cut hard back in February time when I transplanted them from the front garden, put them in the border. I'm hoping, these are all David Austin roses, these will all survive. They're all shooting nicely, and some of them are even now budding up, so can't wait to smell those if nothing else. They just smell incredible, and they are an open flower as well, so good for our bees. And then I've got things like my Verbena bonariensis in here, that bed, and I've got lots of foxgloves as well, some perennial foxgloves as well. So I've got native foxgloves in the hedgerow, but I've got some perennial non-natives as well, which I'm hoping will obviously come back next year, because the colours I've chosen, hopefully in another few weeks time I'll be able to bring you guys, are absolutely exquisite. So can't wait to see those develop. We've got also lots of salvias in there as well. I've got delphiniums, hollyhocks, all sorts of stuff which is going to be coming out soon. So again, these borders nowhere near looking their best at the moment, so stay tuned. More updates on these herbaceous borders in another video to come very soon. So that about wraps up my front wildlife garden tour, guys. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've enjoyed seeing some of the features, some of the plants that are flowering now, some of the things that we're expecting to be flowering very soon, and indeed in the next video for you guys. So stay tuned, more to come on that. But obviously do hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, guys, because there are lots more videos coming up where I hope I can inspire you to create some mini habitats like this. And as I said earlier, mini woodland border in the back garden I've already done. My top 6 herbaceous perennials, non-natives that is, that I've done a video on recently. Top 5, my top 6 plants for shade recently. So tons of info for you guys. If you go back to the home page, click on videos, then you'll get a full catalogue. Quite often I think people miss videos because they stay on just the most recent updates as it appears on the homepage. If you click on the videos tab, it will bring you every single video in chronological order, so you can scroll back through to your heart's content and find hopefully exactly what you're looking for. But yes, I hope that this front garden has inspired you to create something yourself. I hope that it kind of creates a bit of a trend. I hope more people start to invest in their front gardens and see them as a habitat for wildlife, even if they're only small, because as I said earlier, guys, this is 20 square meters, and just look how much habitat is within this little patch in my front garden. I'm absolutely thrilled to bits with it. I'm really chuffed, more particularly in just how much wildlife is turning up on a daily basis and has absolutely transformed this area within a matter of weeks. It's just incredible to see the wildlife that's moving in. Nature will bounce back given a chance, guys. Remember that. So no mo summer as well. Give it a go, guys. More updates on this mini wildflower meadow to come, and it really is mini, as you can see. Oh, and a little bit of a sneak preview. This verge, I'm hoping, or the contractors, if you haven't seen in my previous videos, the mowing contractors have agreed not to mow the verge. And I've done a bit of guerrilla planting and planted some cowslips in there, and sown some birdsfoot trefoil, self-heal and red clover along the verge. So fingers crossed they stick to their word and that is left, because I really hope that that sets a bit of a precedent in terms of what can be achieved with a little strip of grass in front of anybody's house that can attract wildlife. So more videos on that in videos to come. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys. Really appreciate the support. As I say, please feel free to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Give the video a like, and I'll be sure to bring you guys more ways in which you can help wildlife in your own garden, and of course tours on my front and back garden in videos to come. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.